Hi guys, welcome to another video. Today I'm going to be giving you 10 things that you should be doing if you're just getting started in wedding photography and are trying to grow your business. So let's get started. All right, so the first tip that I have for you guys is to do styled shoots. Now I put this tip first because if you're barely getting started in wedding photography, you probably don't have a sizable portfolio to show your potential clients. And showing cool pictures of your pets to your potential clients is not gonna fly or book you any weddings. So even though your pets are probably cute. So just in case you don't know what a styled shoot is where you reach out to different vendors in the wedding industry. For example, you got the dress designer, makeup artist, florist, the wedding venue, and models, or just a random friend that's willing to have their photos taken by you. You basically tell them that you want to do a photo shoot and have them featured on your social media pages, as well as deliver the images to them after you're done editing. So they can also share those images onto their social pages. So it's a win-win for everybody because you get to have portfolio work that is extraordinary, and the vendors involved also get to have their work photographed and shared on social media. Style shoot is a way to get everybody featured in a unique way that might not occur during a wedding day. So you may be asking yourself, do I need to pay the vendors to be able to use them in my photo shoot? And there's really no clear-cut answer on this. I've done both. I've paid for the vendors out of pocket to get the styled shoot together, but most of the time, since it is a styled shoot, the price you end up paying is usually discounted. I also have had instances where I do not have to pay anything because the vendor offered their services for free, which was totally helpful. But regardless, in both instances, I've had the weddings booked and referrals from other vendors because of the style shoots that I've done, on top of also getting portfolio pieces for my business. So speaking of vendors, this brings me on to tip number 2, which is to start networking with other wedding vendors. One of the most profitable things for my business was networking with venues, wedding planners, and everybody else in between, and developing and cultivating those relationships. One of the things that I've done for vendors is to offer my services at super low rates. What happens in churn is that they want to recommend me to their clients if they ever have that situation where a client is asking for a wedding photographer, but only if their experience working with me was a good one. Would they be willing to recommend me? So make sure you knock their socks off when you do a job for a vendor and build a strong relationship. So tip number 3 is upgrading your gear if you need to. One of the biggest things that has helped me in my wedding photography business was buying better gear with the money that I earned. So my first year and the wedding photography business, all the money that I made for weddings went directly into buying my camera bodies and my glass. Because let's be real, in a wedding day, your camera and lenses are gonna get bumped, possibly dropped, smashed, and you're gonna need equipment that is gonna be able to stand up to the use and abuse that occurs during a wedding, and also will be optically pleasing. And please, please, please make sure you have backups of everything. You need 2 camera bodies, no exceptions. You need 2 camera bodies to shoot a wedding, because the first camera body messes up or locks up or breaks on a wedding day, it's going to look really bad on you and unprofessional because you didn't have a backup camera. You're also going to need twice the amount of memory cards that you think you're going to need, just in case one breaks. Same thing, backup flashes, just in case one breaks, as well as twice the amount of batteries you think you're gonna need. You need to bring backups of everything. You also need to back up your images because you don't want to be that photographer who either couldn't continue shooting because of equipment malfunction or because you lost your photos after the fact because you didn't have backups of backups of backups of backups. I hope that makes sense. And I won't get into it too much detail here as to what gear I use on this video, but if you hit the subscribe button and the bell notification, next week's video I'm going to be talking about which gear I use on my wedding days. Anyways, just because you have good equipment does not make you a good photographer. I'm sure most of you know that, and if you don't, try giving a pro level camera to a newbie and see what kind of images you get back from them. Anyways, so this brings me to my next tip, which is tip number 4, which is investing in yourself. Because let's be real, you can have the most expensive equipment in the world, but if you don't know how to use it effectively or properly, it's not going to mean anything. So knowing this, after I got my equipment, the next thing I started investing in was online workshops. One of the first courses that I started taking was not actually a course, but it was actually a Patreon membership, and I subscribed to Taylor Jackson's channel. And I'll put his channel below in the description. At the time, it was only $10 a month, and I figured, what the heck, it's only 10 bucks. So I joined, and I learned so much valuable information about starting a wedding photography business from scratch. And it was a small investment with a big payoff. And as I started booking more and more weddings and getting paid more, I started investing more and more money into my courses. And one of the other courses that I did buy was the SLR Lounge workshop that is taught by Pi Jerso. I'll also link down in the description below. That course by the SLR Lounge, which I have not even finished half of the material that has been on there, has given me some of the most valuable information that has helped me succeed in the wedding industry. My biggest advice is continue learning, see what other people are doing around the world, take some of your favorite things from your favorite photographers and cultivate that into your own work. All right, so tip number 5 is developing your own style. So after you get the hang of editing photos, you may want to start looking into photography presets or developing presets of your own. Me personally, I purchase presets and currently use presets for my wedding photography. And I know there's a debate about whether you should or you shouldn't use presets for wedding. The debate is ongoing, and that's for you to decide on which side you're on. Me personally, I use presets because it speeds up my workflow, because I got 600 to 800 images to edit per wedding, and that's really going to eat up a lot of time, which could be better spent on your administrative side of your wedding business, hanging out with your family, or doing things that you want to be doing. So for me, I use presets because it speeds up my workflow as well as gives me a unified look across the entire wedding album. Prior to using presets, I would have photos that looked like Peter McKinnon, and then I would have photos that looked like they were shot on film. So to fix a discrepancy between the looks of my images, I went ahead and invested into presets. Now, I won't get into too much detail as to what presets I do use, but what I do advise you when you're looking for presets is to select a preset where the developer has the same camera as you. That way, when you apply it to your image with the same camera, you have to do only minor tweaking to the exposure and white balance, as opposed to buying a preset from a developer who owns a different camera. And when you go to apply that image, it doesn't even look remotely close as to what the preset should look like. And you really have to edit the crap out of it to get it to look anywhere close to what you thought it would look like. So tip number 6 is to make a website. Now, I've talked about this in my past videos, which is making sure your website is optimized for your ideal client. Having a website that fits a luxury business model is going to be the best bet at attracting clients that will be willing to spend money on you. Now, let me show you how my website is set up. Let's do a screen share so you can see. All right. So we're here at my website. And as you can see, most of the photos in the tabs, I have a lot of limited photos. I have my blog post here, which potential clients going to go and see. And mostly the purpose for this is SEO purposes, so I'm easier to find on Google. So we're just going to scroll through this. So when you go through here, let's just go through one of my more recent shoots. Check this out. So here, and all these photos are tagged, and they all got descriptions to make it easier to find on Google. And then if you go here, you're going to see that a lot of my images are very limited as to what I show. Only got 10 images here. And then we're going to go to the contact page. Starting price, love to shoot your wedding out of town, and then super easy, name, email address, send, pretty much. Now, in case if you're wondering, the website template that I'm using is actually from pixieset.com. The template was super easy to set up, super streamlined, very easy to transfer over from my other online provider that I was using before. The only complaint that I have is that Pixieset cannot incorporate Pinterest onto the website yet. I emailed the administrators. They got back to me and did say that they're working on it, but as of now, they didn't give me a time as to when that update would be. Tip number 7 is photograph the stuff you want to be shooting. Now, this tip can seem kind of vague, but what I really wanted to emphasize on here is that if you want to be a wedding photographer, you need to be only photographing weddings and only displaying wedding photography on your social media sites and websites. More specifically, if you want to be a travel wedding photographer, then you need to try and either book weddings that are destination weddings, easier said than done, right? Or if you haven't done a destination wedding yet, try traveling with some friends and doing a styled type of engagement shoot at a nice wedding destination spot. Or if you want to be a wedding photographer for a small boutique type of wedding, then you need to try to do styled shoots at a smaller venue. That way you can connect with your ideal clients, because if they see on your social media and on your website images that connect with them in a certain way, they're going to want to book you regardless of price in most cases. So tip number 8 is be ethical and professional. Now, I feel like I shouldn't have to mention this, but you would be surprised at some of the stories that I've heard about vendors acting in an unethical fashion. Guys, the thing that we have to remember is that our clients are spending a lot of money on their wedding, and they have a vision of what their wedding day will look like, and they're relying on us to execute their vision as best as possible. The last thing we need to be worrying about is a vendor who's unethical, rude, and unprofessional. But I feel like there's still a lot of vendors who don't understand this concept. So if you're just getting started, and if you simply act in the best interest of your couples, act professional, knock it out of the park with your customer service, you will already be ahead of half of the wedding vendors in your area by simply acting like a professional wedding photographer. So tip number 9 is this tip I still do on bigger events, which is bring a second shooter to your weddings till you feel comfortable on your own. I still do this from time to time, but especially when you shoot your first couple of weddings, you're gonna wanna bring somebody who's a little bit more experienced than you, or at least on the same level as you on photography. And I'm gonna be honest, guys, my first 2 weddings that I shot, I broke even and I didn't really make any money because I had to pay for a second shooter to join me. And I didn't feel comfortable yet shooting weddings on my own. But once you get the hang of how weddings go and what to expect, you can totally ditch the second shooter. However, I do recommend if you're having more than 150 guests at the wedding to bring a second shooter regardless of your experience. And that's just a rule of thumb to be able to cover everything adequately. Tip number 10, guys, is to just get started. It's easier said than done. But guys, let me tell you something. Was I scared when I did my very first wedding? Yes, absolutely. Was I scared when I did my second? Absolutely. Did I shake and almost have a freaking meltdown doing my first paid for engagement session? Absolutely. But half the battles in life are simply won by just showing up. So put on a strong face for your couples, go kill it, because if I can do it, you can most definitely do it. Thanks for watching my video, guys. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up to help that YouTube algorithm thing, and subscribe to see future videos where I talk about gear and how to improve your photography. Thanks for watching, guys. Peace.